Lead attorney for the families of the slain victims of the Linden protest, Nigel Hughes, said he will be looking for what is a just reward when he presents his compensation case before the ongoing Linden Commission of Inquiry. Members of the Commission of Inquiry will on Thursday continue to hear the testimonies of those seeking compensation for their losses. Hughes, who was at the time addressing a media briefing hosted by the minority opposition party, the Alliance for Change, said while one's life is priceless, he wants to ensure the affected families are compensated fairly.
One of the victims had a challenge, which you'll probably hear about tomorrow, and we hope that the compensation would alleviate. I can only say alleviate because the suffering will never be removed. Can alleviate is of such magnitude that it alleviates the acuteness of the pain and injury and hurt and loss that the families of the deceased suffered. I certainly couldn't put a figure on that. I wouldn't even attempt to put a figure on it.
The three protesters were shot dead by what is believed to have been police bullets on July 18 on what was the first day of an organized protest against electricity rates hike in the town. Meantime, the attorney at law said that he was at a loss on what grounds the executive director of the National Industrial and Commercial Investments Limited, NISIL, Winston Brassington, made a claim for compensation for losses that resulted to the NISIL-owned Lind Mine Secretariat, formerly owned by the Guyana Bauxite Company.
And unless something has happened dramatically, which would be very curious and most unusual and certainly would be most irregular, between the last time he testified and now, if they couldn't establish ownership then and they acquired it since, they clearly would not have suffered a loss because that acquisition would have come after the incidents in July. So Mr. Brassington's pretensions to wanting to take money out of the central government and put it into his private control at NISIL, I think is going to stumble on the block where he's failing to establish ownership of that building or the land in any of the entities that he purports to be in charge of.
Bransington presented an inventory to the Commission of Inquiry listing items that were damaged in the Linden protests. Leroy Adolphus, Capital News.